Hi guys, welcome back to Elizabeth Ann Reads. I'm Anne, and today we're going to talk about October. Can you believe it is almost October? And I know this video is going to go up about a week before it actually turns October, but I want to talk about all the things that are happening. And sometimes when readathons or read-alongs are going on, I don't find out about them until after they've started or even after they're over. And so I wanted to put this up a little early just to make sure that you guys know about these things so that you can join in if you want to. I get frustrated when there's something that I would have liked to participate in that I didn't know about, and that's no one's fault. I just want to make sure that the things I'm doing are, I'm putting that out there for you guys so that if you want to join in, you are free to do that. October evidently is the month where I'm doing all the things. There's so many readathons going on, and just so many fun things that I want to participate in, as well as I have some travel plans that I'm going to tell you guys about that I'm super excited about. So I just kind of want to give you a general overview of October and some of my TBR. This won't be all of it, but some of it. So the first thing I want to mention is the Fall Into Reading Challenge. This is hosted by Tia and All the Books, Rainy Day Reads, Literary Labors, and Cozy Reader Kelly. I'll link all the info below. Side note, everything I'm going to talk about today, I'll link below. So all the readathons, everything, it will all be linked below. In case I forget to say that, or just don't say that about other things, all the info is below. But the Fall Into Reading Challenge started in September and goes all the way through the end of November. So there's still time to jump in and participate if you want to, and that is it's just a challenge to read a variety of different genres and types of books. There's both a 15-spot bingo board and a 24-spot. So I will be continuing on with that. I'm not picking out specific books. I'm just fitting the books that I am reading into the prompts, and then come November, if I need to hit certain prompts still, I'll pick out specific books. But yeah, that's just part of what I'm going to be doing, and yeah, it's been super fun so far. The second thing I want to mention is, of course, Victober, which is a whole month dedicated to reading Victorian literature. I am not going to be reading only Victorian literature, but I'm definitely going to be including that in what I'm doing. Victober is hosted by Kate Howe, Lucy the Reader, and Katie at Books and Things. And this is the 5th year, and I've kind of loosely participated in the past, but never like full out participated. So I'm excited. I'm planning to hit all the challenges. And yeah, so let's go through my TBR for that real quick. The first challenge, and I thought this one was really a great challenge, is to read a book that equates to your favorite modern genre. So whatever you like to read now, find a Victorian novel that meets that same genre. So I'm going to be reading, my favorite genre is fantasy, currently at least. And so I'm going to be reading Fantasties by George MacDonald. George MacDonald is an author I love, and I have read the vast majority of his books, but somehow I've never read this one. I even had it on my shelf, and I haven't read it. So this is considered, I think, generally kind of the first fantasy novel. I know J.R.R. Tolkien is considered kind of the father of fantasy, but J.R.R. Tolkien was inspired by C.S. Lewis, who was inspired by George MacDonald. So that makes George MacDonald like the great-grandfather of fantasy. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to picking this up. I have read The Princess and the Goblin, so some of his children's fantasy, but I've never read his adult fantasy. So I am really looking forward to diving into this and seeing what it's like. The next challenge is to read a Victorian diary or a collection of letters, and for that I'm going to read 1,000 Miles Up the Nile by Amelia P. Edwards. This has long been on my TBR of books that I want to read, but I honestly hadn't even thought of it for Victober until I watched Kate Howe's TBR, and she mentioned another book by the same author, and I don't know why I hadn't thought of a travel diary as fitting this prompt, but duh. So I'm really excited to read this. The reason why is that this is the person who inspired the Amelia Peabody series by Elizabeth Peters, which I absolutely love. They're a mystery series set in Egypt, and I just love them. So I really have been wanting to go back and read this, which is kind of the source material, I guess, for that series. So I'm really excited to be picking that up this month. The third prompt is to read a new to you book or short story by a favorite Victorian author. For that, I'm going with Villette by Charlotte Bronte. I know Shirley by Charlotte Bronte is the group read, but I don't have a physical copy of Shirley, and I'm trying to get through what's on my shelves. So I'm going to go with the Villette. My goal is to read all the Bronte books eventually, but this is the last one that I own that I have not read. So that's what I'll be picking up for that prompt. And then the last prompt is to read a Victorian book from a previous TBR or one that you've been meaning to read for ages. I have actually 2 books for this prompt. The first is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. This has been on many TBRs, including, I think, last Victober's TBR. And I just haven't gotten to it yet, and it's super short, which is great. So I will be picking that up. And then I also have Tess of the D'Urbervilles by Thomas Hardy. I've never read Thomas Hardy, and he is an author that was on my 2020 authors list that I wanted to read. So I need to get to him before the end of the year, so here is the perfect opportunity. I have one other book on my Victober TBR that doesn't fit a prompt, but that is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. I have read this before. I think I read it 2 years ago and loved it and have been wanting to reread it. And October just seems like the perfect time, not just because of Victober, but just because, you know, you read the spooky books in October. So I will be hopefully rereading that one as well. All right, moving on. The third thing I want to talk about is the Hey Readerathon. So Chantel at An Intentional Life is a fantastic booktuber. Be sure and go check her out if you don't know her. But a while back, a few weeks ago, months ago, I don't know, she and her husband created a website called Hey Reader that it's basically a TBR website. So you can create a TBR. It has prompts that you can use, like it's a random prompt generator. And you can use the prompts that are there, or you can put your own in. You can create TBRs. You can join in with other people's TBRs. So Chantel has decided to host a readathon called the Hey Readerathon, and that is running from October 12th to the 18th. And again, I really, really encourage you to go check out both her channel and the website. I'll link both those below. But she does have 5 prompts for that week, so I'm going to go through those. The first prompt is a book with orange on the cover or the spine. And for that, I'm going with When the English Fall by David Williams. This book was gifted to me about a year ago, and I believe it's a apocalyptic book that deals with an Amish community. So obviously the Amish community is pretty fine when technology fails. But I think it more deals with how, like, the interactions between the Amish and the English, the non-Amish people, which sounds really interesting. And yeah, definitely kind of it almost looks more brown in the video, but it's definitely orange. Got these clouds, kind of thundery clouds. So yeah, I'll be picking that up. The second prompt is a book with 3 words in the title, and for that I'm going with The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. This is a YA fantasy that I really don't know anything about, other than I know it gets very mixed reviews. But I figure, seems like a good time of year to read it. We'll give it a try and see what I think. The next prompt is a title that includes a water word. So water or ocean or lake or rain or, be creative. I'm not being creative and simply going with water. I have The Scent of Water by Elizabeth Goudge. This is, as far as I know, like a cozy English countryside type book. Elizabeth Goudge is another author I've been wanting to get to this year. So I think this is one I'll take just kind of in small chunks throughout the week and spread it out over the whole week. And then the fourth prompt is the first book in a series. For that, I'm going to read Skullduggery Pleasant by Derek Landy. This is I think it's YA, and it's a detective novel about a skeleton detective. I did read this years and years and years ago and liked it at the time, but didn't continue on with the series. So I kind of want to give it a reread and see if it's a series that I do want to continue on with, or if I can just pass this on to someone else. So that's my first in a series book. And then there's a 5th prompt, a bonus prompt, and that is to choose a book from Chantel's Fall Recommendations video. And for that, I've chosen The Reckoning of Gossamer Pond by Jamie Jo Wright. Jamie Jo Wright is an author that Chantel's been talking about quite a bit lately, that just very much intrigues me, and yeah, this seemed like a good one to start with. Okay, so that's the end of my TBR so far. I do want to mention there is a Dewey's 24-hour readathon this month, so October 24th is when that falls. I'll link the website below. But if you don't know, if you haven't been around long enough to know, Dewey's is my absolute favorite readathon of the year. It is just a solid 24 hours. You don't have to read the whole 24 hours. The goal is to read more than you normally would, which for me means I need to push myself and go for as long as I can, basically. But you don't have to do that. You can just read for a couple hours or make reading, a priority of your day. But I really do encourage you to check out the website. There's a Goodreads group and a Facebook group. So, whatever works for you, find some people and join in. It's so much fun. And as we get closer to that, I'll have a TBR for that, or maybe just in the vlog. I don't know. You'll find out what I'm reading for that at some point. When I find out, probably. There is one other thing I want to mention, and that is my travel plans for the month. I'm so excited. I am going to the beach, which is not that far away. I live just over an hour away from the beach. But there is a literary bed and breakfast that I've been wanting to go to for years. It's called the Sylvia Beach Hotel. And for my birthday this past summer, my family gave me money towards that trip. So I made reservations, and that is happening this month. Very, very excited. So yeah, I will be staying. I have a reservation for 4 nights. And yeah, I'm just going to go to the beach and read a lot, which is going to be fantastic. It's a great little place. I've driven by it. I've never been inside. But each room is themed after a different author. So I'm staying in the Tolkien room because really, what other room would you stay in? And then the whole top floor is a reading room and library. And I'm just really, really excited. I will, of course, be vlogging that to show you that week. But yeah, I don't totally have books picked out for that either. We'll just kind of see where the month is by the time I get there. I have a few things in mind, but yeah, so that's it. I think that's all I wanted to share with you. I hope you will check out all these readathons and join in with at least one of them. Be sure and let me know what you're joining in with so I can cheer you on. And yeah, I think that's it. Thank you for taking the time to watch.